Hello, everyone. My name is Mike, and this is Matrix to Paradise. Um, I have a subject today that's more serious than usually what I put out, but it needs to be said nonetheless. And people need to realize that there are certain ways of doing things when you go overseas, and I just want to list a few things. I've only got five items, but that should cover most of what people should not do when they go overseas to any country, not just Cambodia, but especially Cambodia and Southeast Asia, but any country you go to. So I'll get right into it, and won't make this as long as possible here. I'll make it as short as possible. But I want to explain these things. And I've traveled to a lot of countries. I've gone to Cambodia. I've gone to Thailand. I've been to Philippines. I've been to Mexico and Central America. And all these things apply. They really do. All the things I'm going to list here do apply to these other countries that I've been to. And I would suggest that everybody take these in if you plan on moving overseas or even visiting overseas. Anyway, first one, number one, and these aren't in any particular order. I just wrote them down and thought about it. Number one is don't go to another country and expect things to be the same as they were in your former country or your home country. Most of these things that I'm going to list here are common sense things that everybody probably knows. You should all be intelligent enough to know this. But believe it or not, I've run into people here and other places who apparently have not thought about these things and still continue to think that things are going to be the same way in their country, or in the new country as it was in their former country. And it's just not that way. If you're going to go especially move, or you're going to go travel through other countries, you have to expect that things are going to be completely different, if not, a little bit different, if not completely different. And you're going to have to just adjust to the customs and the protocols and the way things are done basically in those countries. You just have to. You have to have an open mind and you have to have patience. That's the big thing, is patience. You can't expect the same service. You can't expect the same products. Like, I'll give you an example here. I like Heinz ketchup, not because I'm American, but because I like salty ketchup rather than sweet ketchup. And they have ketchup here, but it's sweet ketchup. And I don't particularly like sweet ketchup. I mean, I can use it, but I'd rather have saltier ketchup. That's all there is to it. But in order to get that, I have to pay for it. And I have to go to the supermarket, and they do actually have it available there. But if they didn't have it, I would have to deal with whatever I have. And I would not bitch about it because there's nothing to do. You cannot change things. So you have to go along with what they have there. And that's the kind of mindset you have to have when you go to another country. You have to have the mindset that things are going to be totally different, and I'm going to adapt, and I'm going to embrace it. And I'm going to love it. I'm going to enjoy new things and have new adventures and try new foods and everything else. You got to have that patience and that zeal for adventure. You got to, or it's going to be a sad time for you, and you're going to be pissed off the entire time you're there. So don't expect things to be the same as they were in your country. Number two, if you go to another country and you drive a motorbike, a car, anything, a bicycle, don't drive like you did in your former country, because believe me, it's totally different in every country I've gone to, and especially here in Southeast Asia. My country, the USA, is a car country. You must have a car there. You really do. You can have a motorcycle if you live in the city. You can drive around on a motorcycle, but it's much more dangerous there. This country here, Cambodia, and most of Southeast Asia, and a lot of countries around the world are motorbike centric. They are mostly motorbikes. Khmer people don't really know how to drive cars here, so they drive really, really slow. But they are experts at driving motorbikes, especially like the scooters and the small CC motorcycles. They're not driving around here in 1100 Yamahas or Harley Davidsons or anything like that. They're driving around in 125 scooters. So, um, so don't come over here and drive like a Westerner. I'll give you a good example of this. So in the West, if I was going to make a left-hand turn, well, in the United States especially, not in UK. UK is a totally different story. They drive on the left-hand side of the road. But if you come from a right-hand side driving country of the road, if you're going to make a left-hand turn in the United States, you go out, you get into the intersection, you make the left-hand turn because both sides are stopped on the other side. Well, there's a lot of intersections here that don't, or you would stop if there was a stop sign or a stop there, a perpendicular road, you would stop at the edge and you'd wait till there was an opening on, you'd look both ways, right and left, left and right, and you'd make sure that there was no traffic coming in, then you would go out and you'd make the left-hand turn and go down there. That's not how Khmer people do it. Khmer people here, or in Vietnam or any other places here, I know this for a fact, you don't do that. What they do here is if you want to make a left-hand turn, you veer over to the left on your road and just start driving up the left-hand side of the other road until there's an opening, and then you cross over and get into the right-hand lane. If you don't do it that way, you're going to get into somebody's way. They don't know what you're doing here, and you might get run into, or you're going to cause all kinds of commotion. If you follow the Khmer people, if you're in Vietnam, follow the Vietnamese people that they know how to drive in their countries. You follow them and follow how they drive, and you'll have no problem. Now, it took me a couple months to get used to this, but I got used to it. And you have to, or you're going to be constantly causing havoc on the road. And so in order to be part of the crowd, and it doesn't mean you have to go zipping around like an idiot, because most of these people don't zip around like idiots. But in order not to be a part of the crowd and not part of the pain in the neck of the crowd, you follow them and do what they do. So don't drive like a Westerner, being Europe, Australia, United States, Canada, New Zealand. Don't drive like that here or in the other countries, other developed countries you go to, because you're going to get in the way and you'll have a much higher chance of getting into an accident, and you don't want that over here. All right, so number 3. I don't know how this is in every country, but especially here in Southeast Asia, they're not very touchy-feely people. So like I've said in the past videos, I have a family down here that I hang out with. The only people that they hug are the kids. Like the kids will get hugged and kissed on and stuff, but you won't see adults hugging each other. Like when I go out to grandma's house, which is the husband's mom's house, nobody hugs grandma except for the kids. So you don't go hugging on grandma. See, I love grandma. I think she's the greatest. She's wonderful and all that, but I wouldn't go hug her. That would be totally awkward and out of place for an adult to go over and hug her. Even her own kids, even her own grown kids don't hug her. So don't do that, because you're going to make them think you're weird. The only really touchy thing that they do is shake hands. They understand that's a universal business thing, or greetings for people that are meeting as friends or whatever. That's about the only acceptable thing that I've seen so far in Southeast Asia to do as far as touching. Now, of course, if you have a girlfriend or a wife or something that's from that country, then of course you're going to be hugging her and whatever. But anybody else, you don't do it. You don't touch kids on the head. You can do fist bumps with them. You can shake their hands, the kids and all that. But don't be touchy-feely with the kids either. I mean, that's it. You just don't do it. And which is a good thing. I wouldn't want other adults hugging on my kids either if I had kids. It's a good thing. But you don't hug other adults either, so I don't want to repeat myself. But yeah, be careful what kind of touching you do with another person over in Southeast Asia. It's kind of different in Central America, but I mean, unless you're friends with them or you know them very well, there's not a whole lot of going on there either. So that's that. Number 4, don't ever, ever, ever get into a fight or raise your voice in anger. Don't do it over here. And you shouldn't do it in any other country. First of all, you are a guest in their country. You are a guest in whatever country that's not yours. You're a guest there. So do not get into a fight, raise your voice in anger, and cause a commotion like that. Now, especially in Southeast Asia, you'll never get into a fight or a bad argument with a Southeast Asian um, and have them yell back at you and fight you. You don't want that to happen anyway. But if that were to ever happen, get the hell out of there. I mean, if somebody from another country wants to fight you, just exit stage left. Get out of there. Don't get involved in it, because if the cops do come, it's always going to be your fault. Always. The foreigner is always going to get screwed on that. So you don't want to do that. And you won't have to worry about it usually in Southeast Asia unless you're a complete jerk to somebody, and that somebody might be drunk or something and take total offense to what you did, or you do something to somebody else's girlfriend or wife or something like that. Don't even fight with another foreigner, because if the cops show up, you're both getting arrested. You're both going to jail, and it's the end of that. And believe me, you don't want to be in a jail in Southeast Asia, and you don't want to have to pay the money it's going to cost to get you out of jail in Southeast Asia. The Southeast Asian people, and I'm including all these countries over here because they're all pretty much the same. They might speak different languages and have a little different customs, but they're all into saving face, and they won't want to get into an argument or a fight with you ever. And the police have no tolerance for foreigners causing problems like that. And even if it's two foreigners, don't ever do it. It's just not a good play, and you should. All this stuff should be self-evident, but apparently it's not for some people. Anyway, last and not least, number 5. Do not be the ugly foreigner. Don't be the asshole. Just don't do it. Don't come over here and be an annoying asshole. Don't come over here and not treat the service staff well. Don't do that. You make us all look bad. You know, especially if you're a white person. If you're a white person, they're gonna automatically assume that you're a Westerner. They don't know if you're from the USA, the UK, Australia, Canada. They don't know unless they really know you well. They don't know what country you're from. You're just white. And when you act like an asshole, you make us all look bad. You really do. And that pisses me off more than anything. And I will confront somebody, not confrontational as in a fight, but I will say something to somebody if they do that. You just don't be the ugly foreigner. Don't be an asshole. Don't treat people badly. Don't walk around like you're better than everybody else. Embrace the culture. Be a good person. Represent us all in a good light, because we're all coming over here. We're all, the people that do come over, we're all coming over here to enjoy the wonderful offers, that they have here. All the stuff that they have here, the cheap pricing, the great food, the wonderful people. Don't turn it into something bad. I mean, I'll give you an example. Cambodia is not inundated by tourists from the West. It's not. There's a bunch here, but not nearly as many as there are in the Philippines or in Thailand. And you get a different feel when you're in those countries. When you go to Thailand or you go to the Philippines, I've been to both. It's the people are hardened there, especially in the tourist areas. They're pretty hardened by foreigners. They've dealt with every freaking scumbag. They've had a lot of nice ones, but they're ready for it if you're an asshole. And they don't have the same kind of warmth that these people do here. I don't want this to get ruined here in Cambodia. I love this country. So I don't want foreigners to come to this country and be complete assholes and then give us all a bad name. You go to Thailand and they'll smile at you. It's called the land of smiles. But you go over there, and if you go to any of the tourist spots, they'll smile at you, but you can automatically tell it's an undertone of like, yeah, give me your money and then please leave. That's the kind of undertone you get over there. They're not warm and friendly. They're not doing extra for you. They're not wanting to become your friend. They just want you to pay and get the hell out. And I don't want that to happen here. I don't want foreigners to ruin these countries. they've already ruined a bunch of countries, but, and I'm not saying that Western foreigners are terrible. They're not. But there are some bad apples that come over and do this stuff, and it makes us all look bad. In fact, the Philippines, I believe, is making it so that you cannot film other people. You cannot go out as a YouTuber and film and have other people in the background that you're not, like say you're interviewing somebody on the street. You have to blur out the background beyond that one person because some idiot went over there. I think it was a Russian guy, but it doesn't matter. Some white guy went over there and was being a jerk to people and doing, those idiots that go around and act like assholes and put it online to get hits on it. Like that idiot Johnny Somali, he's over in Korea. He's probably going to be spending some time in jail there. It's these people that make us look bad. So the Philippines is already cracking down now. So now this guy was a YouTuber, and he got it so everybody got banned. As far as having anybody in the background video, except for somebody you might be interviewing, and that person has to say on camera, yes, I'm allowing this channel to interview me. It's only going to get worse if people keep acting like assholes. So I just want to put all these things out there and let everybody know this should all be self-evident, and 99.9% of you will probably say, you're exactly right, Michael, and I already knew that. But honestly, there are some people, and I've seen it here even, there are some people that are scumbags or jerks that do the bad things, and people that don't know how to drive and want to try to drive and expect things to be everything the same as it was in their country before. And they hug people, or they raise their voice in anger and fight in the bars. There's all these happen in all these other countries. And I'm trying to let everybody know that if you know somebody that's going to go overseas and might have a problem with one of these, please let them know that they are not going to like it in jail. They're not going to like it when they get in a motorbike accident. They're not going to like it when people look at you weird, and shun you because you're an asshole. They're not going to like that. Anyway, thank you all for watching. Thank you all for commenting when you do comment. I try and answer every one of the comments. I just want to give my total appreciation for all of you who signed up for my channel. I totally appreciate it. And I hope that you come back. And I hope that if this is your first time watching any of my videos, please hit the like button or hit the subscribe button, one of the two. It just helps out the channel, and I really appreciate all of that. Anyway, take care, guys, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye now.